Hi, it's Jim Dodson, the Florida Bike Guy. So, why are we having such a spike in leaving the scene of injury cases involving pedestrians and cyclists? You know, there's been some interesting data that's come out through Outside Magazine, did a study in 2020 talking about this phenomena of hit and run drivers. Their data was that of all the fatalities, I think theirs was for 2020. There was almost 700 fatalities involving pedestrians and cyclists. Actually, that's only cyclists, and 26% of them involved a driver who fled the scene. AAA also did one for like 2018 and found very similar percentages. Almost a quarter of people who killed pedestrians or cyclists left the scene. So there's two aspects of this I think is very interesting for us to think about. Leaving the scene of an injury when you hit a cyclist or pedestrian is about as an intentional of an act of a depraved mind as we can get, other than just intentionally hurting someone. Because so many of these cases involve someone who it's the cyclist and the pedestrian and the vehicle. It's usually the car and the driver and the cyclist, the car and the pedestrian. Many times there's no one else around. When that driver decides to drive off, they're taking away the opportunity for someone to notify 911 and get help. And so many times it actually results in the death of the cyclist or pedestrian because they didn't have the help they needed that may have saved their life. So it's as bad as it gets. And the question remains, so why do we have these spiking numbers, and what do we do about it? As cyclists, what do we do about it? I think the sociologists will have all their reasons. People that do bike infrastructure will have all their reasons. That's a bigger issue than what we can tackle today. But I can tell you that from my perspective, we can do things to make ourselves more visible. And we have done a lot of programs on visibility, and my position on that: bright colors, upper body, lower body, lights front and back, bright lights that can be seen. That even a drunk driver will avoid. And the other thing is that we can insure ourselves with uninsured motorist coverage to make sure that if we are hit by a fleeing driver, that we have at least coverage to protect the things that we now have to deal with as a result of the crash. Our current uninsured motorist pamphlet, Uninsured Motorists Don't Leave Home Without It, it is available, but I just redid this, and it's coming out in the next week or so on our website, specifically for cycling. It'd be Uninsured Motorists Don't Ride Your Bicycle Without It. So I put it into the cycling context for a little bit more clarity for us as riders. So I'd ask you to keep that in mind when you have a question about how much do you need? Should you get it? How does this impact the whole issue of fleeing drivers, this epidemic we're seeing? I think that there's a lot of explanations that I personally feel come into play with drivers who flee the scene after a bike crash or pedestrian crash. Number one is alcohol. Number two is suspended driver's license or no driver's license. Number three is no insurance. Number four is they get a warrant for their arrest. Number five is they are simply a really immature or bad person who doesn't care. And those people do exist. They're pathological. But sadly, they exist, and people make that decision in the moment. It is a felony of the first degree to flee in that situation. But for us, we can do our part to try to be attentive, to avoid riding in numbers is safer than riding alone, with colors, with lights, and insuring ourselves. Those are the things that we can personally take responsibility for in our own lives to try to increase the joy that we get by being on the road. I'm out there with you 4 days a week. I understand the issues. We're all in this together. I'm a cyclist myself. I've ridden for many years, deal with the same issues that you deal with. I represent cyclists across Florida, whether they've been involved in a car accident and been hurt, or whether they're on their bike and been hit by a vehicle. If you need me and you're in Florida and I can help you, call and I'll do my best to do so. My office is in Clearwater, but we represent cyclists across the state. Katie's put a link on there for our Uninsured Motorist book, and I'd urge you to get that and keep an eye. We have a new website called the FloridaBikeGuy.com, and when we publish our new book, it will be on the website. Just go there in the next week or so and see if it's there. Download it. I think you'll learn something. Tell your friends about it. So be safe, but enjoy your life. I'm Jim Dodson, the Florida Bike Guy. Thank you.